So, you've been tasked with planning a corporate iftar in Bangladesh. You already know the pressure is on, right? Because it's not just a meal. It's about connection, it's about respect, and yeah, it's about your brand image, all rolled into one. But getting it right, making it feel both professional and meaningful, well, that's where things can get a little tricky. So, let's break down how to create an event that people will actually remember for all the right reasons. Okay, so what is the single hardest part of the whole process? You might think it's juggling the guest list, trying to get all those VIPs confirmed. Or maybe it's the food, right? Nailing the catering for hundreds of people is no joke. But here's the thing, it's probably not what you think.
Now, don't get me wrong, the food and the guest list are obviously super important. But the single most critical factor, the one thing that every other decision really hinges on, is a unique constraint you just don't find in any other kind of corporate event.
And that brings us to the core challenge of planning an iftar. It all boils down to this one really powerful idea, what's known as the Maghrib constraint. Think about it. For any other corporate dinner, if a speech runs a little long, you just push the meal back 15 minutes. It's no big deal. But with iftar, the moment of Maghrib is a hard, non-negotiable deadline. It's an appointment that every single one of your guests has been waiting for all day. This means your entire schedule, from registration to speeches, literally everything, has to be planned backwards from that one immovable moment in time. So keeping that critical timing in mind, the very first domino you have to line up is your venue. This decision really sets the stage, literally, for the whole vibe, the complexity, and the entire guest experience. If we look at the main options, you can see the trade-offs pretty clearly. A hotel banquet hall, that's the easy, all-inclusive path. It's prestigious, but you're kind of stuck with their standard look. A convention center, on the other hand, gives you this huge blank canvas for an epic brand experience. But remember, you're literally building your event from the ground up. A resort or garden has a great relaxed vibe for networking, but you're at the mercy of traffic and, of course, the weather. And doing it in your own office? Sure, it's budget-friendly, but the real challenge is making a place your team sees every day feel truly special. And before you sign on that dotted line for any venue, you absolutely have to do a site visit with this checklist. Seriously, think about the practical stuff. Can your custom stage even sit through the service elevator? Is there enough power for all the lights, sound, and screens you're planning? Or are you going to trip a breaker mid-speech? And maybe most importantly, what's the guest flow like? Just imagine hundreds of hungry people trying to move at the exact same moment for Maghrib. The last thing you want is a frustrating bottleneck right before they break their fast. All right, so your venue is locked in. Now we get to the fun part, the design. This is how you take a simple iftar meal and turn it into a real brand experience that says something about your company's values and your attention to detail. And a huge decision here is your staging. Look, standard rentals are quick and they work. But for a high-stakes corporate event, custom fabrication is a total game changer. It means your stage backdrop is going to perfectly match your brand colors and fit the venue's dimensions flawlessly. It just looks incredibly professional. The only catch? You have to plan ahead. This needs a 2 to 3 week lead time, so it's definitely not a last-minute call. To make sure the whole experience feels connected, a great way to think about it is to break your venue down into 4 key zones. First, the welcome area. That's your first impression, so make it look sharp. Then you have the main stage, which is the visual anchor for the whole program. The dining ambiance is all about making guests feel comfortable and valued with lighting and centerpieces. And finally, a photo zone is a must-have these days. It gives people a great spot for team photos and encourages social sharing that gets your brand out there. So we've got our design plan ready to go. But now we come right back to that monster of a challenge, time. This is all about the high-pressure execution on the day itself, where your tech and your logistics have to perform perfectly against that ticking clock. This sample timeline really shows you that planning backwards idea in action. Look, Maghrib is at 6:18 p.m. That's the anchor. So the program has to end right before then, which means speeches have to start at 6 p.m. sharp, which means registration has to open at 5:30. And for that to be ready, your final tech and decor walkthroughs have to be done by 4:30. You see? Every single step is a direct result of that one final deadline.
You know, there's a quote that really just nails this point. The difference between a minor hiccup and a program-stopping disaster is whether someone present knows how to solve it in the shortest possible time. Because let's be real, things will go wrong. A mic battery will die, a presentation won't load. The key isn't perfect luck. It's having an expert right there who can fix it before it becomes a huge embarrassment in front of your CEO and your clients.
So with all that in mind, here are the big mistakes you have to avoid at all costs. Number 1, underestimating setup time, especially in a blank venue like a convention center. Number 2, unclear communication with your vendors. Assume nothing and put every single detail in writing. Number 3, skipping that crucial site visit we talked about earlier. And finally, you have to be ruthless with the program timing. Don't let speeches drag on and create a frantic, stressful rush right before iftar.
Okay, so we've nailed the logistics, the design, the timing. But now let's talk about the heart of it. How do you take a well-executed event and turn it into something truly memorable? Something that actually has an impact on your guests? It has to start here. This isn't just another corporate dinner party. When you take the time to acknowledge the spiritual significance of Ramadan with respectful messaging and a thoughtful program, it shows your guests that you genuinely understand and honor the occasion. The next level up is adding those personal touches that go way beyond just slapping your logo everywhere. Maybe you take a moment to acknowledge specific teams for their hard work, or share photos from a recent company volunteer day. Even just a heartfelt message from leadership can make all the difference. That's how you go from a corporate requirement to a real community gathering.
You know, at the end of the day, the sign of a truly fantastic event is when all the crazy hard work just disappears. Your guests don't remember the perfectly timed vendor arrivals or the flawless sound check. They just remember the warm atmosphere, the great conversations, and that feeling of connection. That seamlessness, that's the real mark of incredible planning. So, when you're planning your next corporate iftar, it really all comes down to this one question. Is it just going to be a requirement you have to check off a list, or will it be a chance to build a genuine connection with your employees, your partners, and your clients? The choice really is all yours.